Welcome back to Dads, Deals, and Dumbbells, the show where two entrepreneurial dads talk fatherhood, the business hustle, and lifting heavy things without pulling a hamstring.
Today, we've got a guest who checks all the boxes. Ed Leone. He's a retired law enforcement officer, an investigator, a race director, and co-founder of Frontline OCR, and maybe the most important, a dad of 27 years.
We're talking about staying strong in your 40s and 50s and beyond, how obstacle course racing can make you a better dad and human, hopefully, and what 3 decades of fatherhood have taught Ed about balance, grit, and the community as a whole. So today's guest, Ed, we haven't had a chance to meet until now, but I understand you've spent a couple decades serving and protecting the community. You're a retired federal probation officer and parole officer, is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
And I understand you now work as a professional investigator. Talking about private eye, is that what we're talking about?
No, actually, I work for the ARDC.
Oh, well, I mean, straighten right up.
Joe, it's funny because I didn't look at the link earlier, and then I saw your law firm. I'm like, oh, this will be interesting.
Yeah, unfortunately, I have to send you guys a complaint about another attorney pretty soon. So yeah.
Hey, you know what? This is the right place to do it.
Yeah. Well, so your career.
Do we switch gears and go into something more professional?
Yeah. I understand though, outside of your actual employment, you've ran a respected youth soccer club in the area. Which club was that?
I used to direct the Naperville Soccer Association for about 25 years.
Sure. Great.
Yeah, all of my kids played. So the reason I was involved with the club was it was started by my father-in-law back in 1986. And then my wife and I had 3 kids and they all played. So that allowed me to stay involved. So that's why I ran the club, is because I wanted to make sure that I was able to schedule their training sessions, be able to train them, schedule their tournaments and travel so that we wouldn't have a disruption in our family life, because that's how travel sports are. They're disruptive, they're divide and conquer. So we had a hand in controlling the tempo of what we did together as a family, which paid off. It was the best decision regarding that we could have made.
Yeah, it's a huge help when you organize your kid's sports team, because then you can organize it around your schedule and make sure it works for your family.
Oh yeah.
There's obviously a sacrifice for anybody who's not done it before.
There is, one of the big, and I tell my kids this all the time, and I don't regret having done that, is that I passed up numerous opportunities for promotion within the agency because I didn't want to be in the city, and I didn't want to be working extra hours, and I didn't want the hassle. I wanted to be able to leave my office right before practice, get there, get the kids organized, and be around them. I didn't want to be missing any of their events because of work, because the nature of our work was pretty intense, and having to supervise and be in an administrative function, I thought would be way too much. So I made a lot of sacrifices to make this happen.
That's great.
That sounds awesome. So then the last thing with that, Joe, seemed to leave off, is that you're now a new entrepreneur in handcrafted shillelaghs.
Yes. Yeah. That was that happened.
How'd you get into that?
It was funny. It was like over the holidays, I was watching YouTube shorts, and a guy came out on my feed, and he was making shillelaghs, and I said to myself, here's a new challenge that I can take on. I think I could make one of these. And I went out and foraged for some lumber, and I found some, and I created one. And then I decided that I could make them, and that if I was going to do it, I was really going to do the best I could. So I started making them, started walking around the city with them, and people were asking questions about them and were offering to buy them. So my wife decided, well, you should sell them now. So I just started selling them. And now we have a couple of shows lined up, doing craft shows coming up in August and September. So that was my lead into that venture.
Ed, can you tell members of the
audience
audience? There you go.
Sorry.
What's that?
Do you have the history behind all the shillelaghs?
I do.
Why the shillelagh is a big deal?
Yeah. The history of shillelagh.
What did you?
I learned that in Ireland, when the English were occupying, they outlawed them from having weapons. So they were very creative with what they did, and they used oak to begin with. And once the Brits deforested the oak, the Irish had to rely on something that was more readily available, and that turned out to be the blackthorn. And blackthorn was abundant, it was durable, it was strong, and that led to them making walking sticks, which could be transformed into a weapon. And there's actual fighting technique, a martial art. I think it's called batara, and that is the shillelagh fighting skills. And it's sort of like Filipino stick fighting, which I was a defensive tactics instructor, so that was translated to me very easily, and how easily this walking stick that's so unassuming could be turned into a great self-defense weapon. So that I carry it all the time. I walk around the neighborhood, walk around the, in the city when I'm downtown, and if anyone has a problem with it, well, I have a stick.
Nice. Nice. We're gonna have Mitch switch over here to his cell phone signal, see if it's better.
Yeah, I just saw that he left.
Yeah, he's coming right back.
So I'm assuming that he knows about shillelaghs and the history, or unless he researched it or he had some family history with it.
Well, I don't know if you can see. Yeah, if you can't tell right now, I am extremely pale. I have some red in my beard. I'm Irish, so I was just curious on how the Irish shillelagh got into your history or your lore there, because my great grandpa came from Ireland and got his citizenship fighting in World War I, and then he made his way to Galena, and then he had to work for Al Capone, so as a mechanic, or like his car guy out of Galena. So that's where the Irish stuff is a big deal for our family. And then we're big Notre Dame fans, so the leprechaun has a shillelagh while he's walking around.
Exactly. And it wasn't until I started doing my research that I saw that on their emblem, is that he actually has a shillelagh. So, and they're kind of cool. I mean, I like them. They're functional.
Yeah, they work in more ways than one.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Definitely. Sorry for the technical difficulty.
No, don't worry.
No worries. I'll go ahead.
I said I thought I was going to have the technical struggles here, but we're good.
I'll cover some of this stuff, Mitch, to kind of make it easier on you. And then when you're ready, just kind of jump in. So let's talk about some dad stats here for you, Ed. Your F3, and we've talked about F3, I think at least once before, but tell us what F3 is.
F3 is fitness, fellowship, and faith. So it's a men's workout group. It's open to all men. It's free of charge. It's held outdoors, rain or shine, hot or cold. It's peer-led in a rotating fashion, and each session ends in a circle of trust. Our mission is to plant, grow, and serve small workout groups for the invigoration of male community leadership. Our credo is to leave no man behind and leave no man where we found him. The faith isn't religious of any means. It just means that you believe in something that's bigger than yourself. And that could be your community, that could be your family. It's almost like a selfless act, so to speak. And I think that is what gravitates and keeps these men involved, is that there's this camaraderie, that there's common denominator with all of us and why we're there, and the accountability aspect for those who need that extra push. It's there for them, and for those who are just intrinsically driven, it's there for them too. So whatever you want to get out of F3, you'll get out of it. But we all contribute a lot by volunteering, by running the sessions, which is peer-led. So everyone has an opportunity to do it. And the only price of admission is that you, as I mentioned, you have to run a session or two here and there.
Well, that's extremely well said. So I have to believe you're one of the main leaders.
I've been doing it for 5 years, and I do run a lot of the sessions. I step up to do that because I enjoy, I guess it's part of, my coaching background and getting involved in trying to, help others excel and better themselves. And I think I've been coaching since I was probably 12 years old, in one way or another. So I kind of naturally gravitate to that leadership role. And I enjoy, the feedback that you get from the men, and that gives you the confidence to keep doing it and growing. And part of like I told my son the other day, I said, part of the reason I like to lead and train people is that not only do I serve a purpose of helping others, but I also learn something about myself through them. So it's like self-exploration and learning by being involved and being an active listener to what other people have to say and what they have to offer in their experience in life. So I try to glean as much as possible when I meet with people.
Yeah, I lead some pretty good beatdowns too. There's always some form of running, so I'm never happy when I show up.
I'm not always happy with that too, but it's just, I guess in the line of work the line of work we do is like you've got to be functional and to be able to react and endure a sustained period of activity if needed. But
You've even done a couple like self-defense ones that are pretty cool. Like there was one you did like with falling backwards and like
oh
getting up
yeah,
to like be ready to fight again. So that was pretty cool. Was able to take some of
absolutely.
those. That was fun.
Absolutely. It's funny you say that because as we get older, if we don't practice getting onto the ground, it just becomes very difficult. I mean,
Yeah.
I can walk down the street and ask someone, "Hey, can you get on the ground and get up quickly?" First of all, they can't get down, and if they get down, they can't get up. So imagine if someone's on
That's
top
a
of you trying to
major
do that.
like health issue. Yeah. Okay. I tell that with my patients, like the number one indicator of needing assistance as you get older is being able to get up and down, quad strength, grip strength. If you can't do that, and most people that we know don't want to end up needing assistance, whether in a home or at their home.
Hmm.
So if they can maintain that mobility and strength, it's important, it's extremely important.
Yeah, and that's been my biggest shift, my biggest paradigm shift as I'm getting older is doing more of a functional training because I realized that, like you were mentioning in your profession, what's the first thing to go with someone as they get older? Their muscles. Is it muscle strength? And then you lose power and then you lose speed. And the reason more people fall descending is because their quads can't sustain them, so they fall. So
Yep.
those are things that I really try to focus on now as I'm getting a little bit older.
Smart move.
So I see you have a nickname in the group of Hootie, and that you have a past including a lead singer of a 90s alt rock cover band.
Yep, I did that for a few years. It's funny. When I turned 40, I set a goal. I decided that I was going to sing in a rock band. And I had no prior experience. I just had the gumption of like, I'm going to go for it. And if I fail, I fail. So a friend of mine who had a band had let me do live band karaoke with them a couple times. And then when I posed a question to him, I said, "Hey, do you looking for a singer? I'd like to at least give it a try." And he said, "Sure, why not?" So we did a little audition, and he said, "Okay, you're in." And started with his band, did that for a couple years. That that broke up, and then I had some friends that I was working out with who were band members, and they played, and then we decided to put a six-person band together, and we played for a few years doing that. So that was a blast, and no training, I just wanted to do it.
Had a good time?
Oh, I had a blast. I had a blast. I had to give it up because I had coaching, I had work, and then I had decided with my work partner to start the Frontline OCR. So that took a lot of time. So one of those things I had to give up, and that was the one that had to go.
The one that you were purely doing for yourself.
Yeah, that one.
Threw it
That
right
had
out
to
the
go.
window.
It had to go.
Well, you mentioned Frontline
So what
OCR. Can you tell
got
us about that?
what got you? Yeah,
What's
what
that?
got you into that? What
I'm
got you into
sorry.
frontline OCR?
Oh,
I'll let Joe
well,
do that.
House Arrest and I. There's another one of our members. The reason we started it was
Wait. You can't just glance over that. You have a member called House Arrest?
yeah, yeah. So House Arrest and I, I've worked with him for like 18 years. So we worked together. He was my partner. And the reason he got House Arrest as his name is because of his probation parole background. And he
All
got me
right.
into it because I had retired in 2019 and I was in Florida on vacation in late December. It was like over New Year's Eve. And he calls me out of the blue and says, "Hey, Eddie, when you get back, you need to join this group with me." And he says, "You're gonna hate it." And I said, "Why?" Because you have to get up super early, which he knew I hated getting up super early, and because we work out in the cold, and he knew I hated the cold. So he really sold it. So I got
I
home.
guess so.
Yeah, I got home in January, and then I showed up, and I ended up loving it. So that's how House Arrest got his name. He dragged me into it. I enjoyed it, and now I have my son involved, and he does it. So
Yeah.
and anytime I get a chance, I talk to other men about it. And my wife's like, "Shut up about it. No one wants to hear about your workout groups."
No,
So
did you call it a cult too?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, they
Yeah,
do.
Joe, the rules on the names is that it kind of has to be, you can yell it in the grocery store and not get too embarrassed. It's kind of like the only rule about the names because there's some
Yeah,
pretty raunchy ones, but we got to keep those mostly
yeah,
PG-13. So
yeah. No, that's my daughter's called it a cult as well. Like, "Hey, you're doing your cult thing," and anyone you tell about it, it's like sounds like a cult. It may be, but it's a positive cult. We're not like,
There's no
killing
Kool-Aid.
people. But
Definitely no Kool-Aid.
Gotcha. Well, so let's jump back. Frontline OCR. Tell me what that is.
Frontline OCR is an obstacle course race. OCR acronym is obstacle course racing. Frontline OCR represents those individuals who serve and protect the community, whether it's overseas in the military or domestic, as a paramedic, a firefighter, a police officer, or a parole officer. Those individuals are all sacrificing something to protect and preserve our constitutional rights. When we were doing Spartan races and some of the other obstacle course races, we didn't really connect with any of them. There was nothing that really resonated. Yes, they donated to charities and they did this, but there was nothing out there that really represented or honored the sacrifices that these men and women are doing. So we decided to blend them all together because in actual fact, there's a lot of cross sectional interchange between being in the military and then you get out of active duty, you go into the community, and a lot of these men and women work as first responders. So we decided to make a race that's dedicated to those types of people that are both. It's open to the community. It's a general public event, but it honors them. And each year we dedicate the race to a branch of service or a sector of first response type work. So we've been doing this for 10 years, and it's, we host it annually, and it's up in Byron, Illinois, near Rockford.
Ed, do you run this as a nonprofit or is a side business for you?
It's a nonprofit.
Okay. Yeah. And so the funds that are raised, what do you do with them?
The funds, our mission is to provide, that's where our mission statement is. Our mission statement is to provide opportunities for men and women to participate who are in need. So the reason we started it, and I'll backtrack a little bit, is while we were doing these races, we met a lot of veterans, a lot of first responders who had, finished their service, and then they go back into the community and they just can't connect. So you have a lot of this disconnection. You have a lot of men and women resorting to substance abuse to fill that void. They're depressed. They can't relate to other people. They can't function naturally anymore. So what we learned from talking to them anecdotally was they would say that obstacle course racing brought them back. And then we kind of surmised that, well, I think it's part of the adrenaline. It's part of the mission orientation again. It's part of the boot camp mentality and getting back to the action and helping other people, because some of the biggest thing is, like, you find these men and women, they're helping people over the obstacles, which is what I find myself doing. Is I go and I'm helping people and I'm encouraging people. And I think that part of what they're missing from their active duty life and the stress and the action that brings is fulfilled through the obstacle course racing. So these men and women are recovering, and they're exchanging one addiction for another addiction, which is the adrenaline addiction, and in a pro-social setting. So what we do is, part of the proceeds from the event, we donate race entries to different organizations that are charitable groups that are helping with pro-social programming for substance abuse, housing, mental health treatment. So we're giving them race entries, and that's what our mission is. We try to get these men and women onto the race course so that they can be helped, and then they can help someone else come into the race community as well.
Nice.
Did you ever find that there's also like that misery loves company type of deal too? Like,
yeah,
kind of everyone suffering together tends to have some sort of lasting bond or brotherhood with that.
That's exactly another factor for it, is that you find that common connection with someone, and you're in a struggle with them. So we like to say to embrace the suck, which is something they all understand. Like, it's something difficult, but you can get through it together.
Yep. There's some sort of finish line to it, hopefully.
Yep. Absolutely.
So I see you've got 3 kids.
I do.
1 son, 2 daughters, all adults, or at least they're legally adults.
They're legally adults. I have my son who's 27, my middle daughter, I think I should take that back, she's 26 now. And then our youngest, who just graduated last May, who's 23. So they're all working. My 2 older kids are homeowners, so that's a great feeling that they are establishing themselves. And our younger one is moving out to California to be with her boyfriend in January. So hopefully they'll start their life and get themselves grounded as well. So as a parent, I couldn't be more happy and pleased because of what they've accomplished, right out of college, and knowing that their backgrounds in sports have helped them reach their goals, and being able to be a team player, being able to have good time management skills and determination, and above all, competitiveness. And whether people like to believe it or not, I mean, life is competitive, and in order to excel, you need to do really well for people to notice you, and to be promoted, and to grow.
I was just gonna say, clearly, if your kids, I think you said 25 and 27, if they're homeowners, especially in today's economy, that's rare. So that does say quite a bit about them kind of getting it together, and it's not an easy thing to do these days.
No, it's not. I mean, it's funny because I was a realtor. As soon as I retired, I decided I didn't want to do anything with the government anymore. I was done with law enforcement. I was burned out. I mean, it was just the anxiety and the stress was just way too much. So I retired as soon as I could. I left, and I decided I wasn't going to do anything of the sort anymore. So I got into real estate in 2019. I did that for a good year and a half, and then the pandemic hit. And at that point, it really made me reassess what I wanted to do. And as much as I like the idea of having my own schedule and doing this, I'm not necessarily a businessman. And chasing people for money and showing houses and disrupting my family life and schedule was just, I didn't really want to pursue that. So I felt comfortable, and I kind of missed being a sheepdog. So I went back into the government, and I was working at the public defender's office in DuPage for about a year and a half. And I decided, you know what, it's in my wheelhouse. This is what I miss, less the danger that my previous career had. And then the opportunity here at the ARDC became available, and I went for it because I figured if I didn't want to work for the federal government, at least I could work for the Illinois Supreme Court and still protect the public with the work that we do here.
What's the ARDC?
The Attorney Registration and Disciplinary Commission. So we handle all the registrations for the attorneys in the state. We do the continuing education so that they maintain their credits and their licensing. And then we handle disciplinary issues that come up, complaints that are filed against attorneys. We would investigate them and then prosecute them if necessary.
So you're like the big brother for all the lawyers.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
Sorry, Joe.
Boy, that's why I'm on good behavior.
I do remember you saying that now. Ed, I think when I was talking to you at one of the workouts, or maybe after coffee or something, I remember you saying that now.
Yeah.
That was probably months ago, and I'm not terrible. Sorry to do this to you, Joe.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
Because that's when I saw Joe's title on the invite for the Zoom, I'm like, oh, okay, Joe's an attorney.
Oops.
It's unfortunately what Ed does is a necessary part of the profession, and
Sure.
there are attorneys that screw things up, and just screw them up. And then there are attorneys that intentionally do things that really are across the line. And then there's a whole bunch of people in between. So it's an unfortunately necessary part of the profession, and it's good that we have it. So
yeah, and you know what, Joe, as I learned through doing this work, is that I learned that attorneys are people, and they're susceptible to the same weaknesses, same issues that anyone who's not a licensed attorney experiences: stress, alcohol, family, poor judgment. It happens. And a lot of the attorneys that we encounter, they made a mistake and they reconcile it. But then you have, like in the community, you have bad actors. They think they're smarter than someone else, and they're going to try to take advantage. And unfortunately, that's the dark side of anything, really, right? And any type of work.
Yeah. No, it's well said. It's well said. Let's go a little further here into your dad's stats. I had to laugh when I saw this. The signature dad move that you listed is not listen when my wife speaks, or at least sometimes.
Yeah, I'm accused of that, but I don't listen. And my daughters verify that too. Like, Dad, you're just not listening. And I try to, but
the hearing loss? Any issues with the hearing loss from law enforcement? You just blame it on that?
I blame it on that. And lack of attention.
Focus.
Always need something new to kind of look at. Squirrel across the street or something.
Exactly. So I get distracted, and sometimes I don't listen, and it takes me a while to get the message. But that's marriage, I think.
Yeah.
Mine's CTE apparently. So from football.
Oh, okay. There you go.
That's my excuse or theory.
Well, that would make sense.
Yeah.
So I see your go-to fitness routine obviously runs right into what you do as a kind of a passion project here with the obstacle course racing. I assume you actually do race these courses as well?
I do. I do. I do see we belong to a local organization of these races. So you have your big name brands like Tough Mudder and Spartan and Savage Race. Those are your big industry events. And then you have in Illinois, we're fortunate that we have at least there's 5 of us in Illinois that are local events, considered local, which is smaller scale, but we support each other. So we promote for one another, we go to each other's events, we recruit for one another. So we kind of help ourselves, each other in this community to survive with the bigger brands. So
Yeah,
yeah, I do go to their events.
I have limited experience with this. I did one event. Now it's probably, I would say 13 years ago, Gladiator Salt Challenge, I think, in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. And it was, I forget the number of obstacles. I remember it was supposed to be 5 miles in total length. They didn't tell us. It actually wound up being 7 miles. There was one water stop and there were no mile markers. So I had no idea where I was once I was, I don't know, an hour, 2 hours in or whatever it was.
Yeah.
It was brutal.
Yeah. Those are the ones when you find yourself, and one of the reasons that we make our race extraordinarily difficult. So of all the races, all the local events we have, and even compared to like Savage and Spartan, we have one of the toughest races. It's to replicate the hardships that these men and women are going through. But one of the cool things about it is like when you finish something that difficult, and like you mentioned with the Gladiator Assault, when you finish something that challenging, it's such a great feeling of accomplishment when you cross the finish line because it was difficult. It was extraordinarily challenging. And several times in these races, when I find myself in a really good races, I question myself as why did I sign up for this? Why did I sign up for this? And those are the events when you're in a situation or in a workout like that's a good workout because it's pushing you way out of your comfort zone.
Yeah. Joe gets that feeling with triathlons all the time.
What's that?
Yeah.
Joe,
Mitch is saying I do that with triathlons. I will tell you how to work out on Sunday where I was questioning why the hell I was doing it. Not the same thing with obstacles, but endurance kinds of things. And yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. When you're finished, it's fantastic. In the middle of it, it's part of it obviously is physical, but a lot of it's mental.
Mm-hmm. It is.
How far did you go this time? I'll say, how far did Joe go this time? Was it a bike, a run?
Sunday was a swim, bike, run, swim, bike. So I was the initial swim was 1,500 meters. The bike was 25 miles. The initial run, I just did 3 miles, 3.1, I guess, I did a 5K. And then back in the pool for another 800 meters. And then another 14 miles on the bike, I think. It was hot. It was hot. I think I lost, it was either 4 or 5 pounds of water weight by the time I got
water
home.
weight.
Yeah, I felt like trash the next day.
Joe, are you doing the Naperville Sprint Triathlon this weekend?
I am. Yeah.
You know,
that one I
funny.
get to actually race. I get to go full speed on that.
Oh, that's awesome because I was just barrel roll on F3, the channel. They had offered me an opportunity to do it on Sunday, and I hadn't signed up, and I've never done one, but I've always thought about the idea that it would be kind of cool to do it. So if they allow me to transfer the registration from one of the guys who can't make it, I will be at that event.
Do it. It is, I will say this, for a first-time triathlon, it is fantastic. Most people get freaked out by the swim. It is a very easy swim. It's a pool swim, and frankly, half the distance out you could walk if you wanted to, and then you swim a V, and you swim another V, and then you could walk all the way back in. It's only I think 375-yard swim. It's not very far.
Yeah, it's 0.23 miles, I think I was told.
Yeah, it's a short one for sure. And the water temperature, I was there yesterday actually. The water temperature is like 82 degrees probably. It's super warm. It's a little too warm. But yeah, no, it's great. And then the bike and the run are flat and fast, very well organized. So you'll have a good time if you do it.
The more they kept talking about it and the less obstacles got in my way, which is the only thing is the registration. If they allow me to transfer it, I'll do it for sure. I mean, my wife already said, go ahead and do it. And, go.
Yeah, I will tell you, I did this a couple years ago. I switched one over for my wife when she decided she wasn't going to run. to somebody else in my office. I think all I had to do was email the organizer and give them a heads up so they could change it in the computer system. So it switched over to the new person's stuff.
Okay.
So you probably have time if you take care of that here, like today or tomorrow or something.
Yeah, I sent an email today to the general message board, so I'm hoping to
Good.
hear something.
Awesome. Well, I'll see you out there racing.
Absolutely.
Probably
Sure.
passing me on the run.
I don't know about that.
I'm slow.
I'm gonna go. I've got a 30-year-old bike that I ride that has it used to have 18 gears, but it has only 2 left. An easy one and a really hard one.
All right.
Sounds like you did great.
And that's what I race like on Springbrook. I'll go ride the 9-mile loop, and I'll put it on the difficult setting and just go as fast as I can go on that course.
All right. So jumping back to your dad stats here, I see your morning coffee. Your morning fuel is coffee, a handful of Brazil nuts, dried figs, and apricots. That's your morning breakfast and your go-to.
That's my regular breakfast.
Nice.
Where's the protein?
Hey,
Protein I get like during my lunch workout. Like afterwards, I'll have my 50 grams of protein. Then I'll have more protein in the evening. I use the Brazil nuts and the other nuts as more of a fiber, and it has some protein, but not a whole bunch. And the figs and the apricot is strictly for the fiber.
Look, good carbs too.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's how I balance it out. And when I'm at home, if I'm in the office, that's what I'll do. If I'm at home and I have time, I will make a Greek yogurt protein shake and load it up with protein as well. But then my family gets on me about eating too much of the protein shake, too much of the protein powder. Like, Dad, you gotta eat real food. I'm like, this is helping me.
It is real food. It counts.
It is.
I was like, you were gonna say because of gas and protein farts.
Oh yeah, that happens.
Too much of that. Too much protein.
You can't avoid that.
nice.
If you eat the right amount, you're good.
The dad hack that you're sharing with us, it's about packing for family trips. Tell us what the key is for success there.
Well, as I mentioned in the intro, it's like life. I mean, you have to make room in your life for the larger objects, your family, your health, your friends, your employment. So you always start with the biggest stuff in first. And once you get the bigger stuff in, then all the small spaces that are left, you fill it in. And so that's kind of like how I view life as well. But it's also how I do my packing and, my storage and putting things away. Just fill in with the bigger stuff and then filter in the smaller stuff. Don't sweat the smaller stuff. As my dad would always say, he would say to me in Spanish, don't drown in a glass of water. So that's, to me, it's like recognize what's important, and then the other stuff is okay. If it takes a little longer to get other stuff done, don't worry about it. Don't sweat it. Just make sure that the important things are taken care of first.
Got it.
I like that phrase too. That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
Never heard it that way.
Yep. Don't drown. A lot of people drown in glasses of water. They're a lot of the type A's. And I mean, like one thing I learned in my career is one of my coworkers told me that we had a supervisor who was just so like nitpicky about everything. And my coworker told me, he said, well, the reason she's like that is that she doesn't know what's important. And when you don't know what's important, everything becomes important. And then you drown in a glass of water. So I learned that, you got to be a type C personality and figure out what's the most important stuff. And then the other stuff you can chill about, and then you can take care of it later. It'll be there still.
For sure.
So Ed, let's switch gears here over to the parenting side. You've been a parent now for 27 years. What's changed as far as parenting, other than your kids getting older? Obviously, your parenting has to change, but
the relationship, it evolves, from younger ages where they're very dependent, and then you get into the high school ages where they're more independent and almost rebellious, to there's a shift during college, and then there's a definite shift like after college. And I think if we've been very fortunate that all of our kids have been healthy, they've had no major issues. They're pretty normal, I think, well balanced kids, and they're able to then get out of school and appreciate and verbalize that they appreciate everything that we've done for them, to get them into this position. I had a conversation with my son the other day, and he was saying to me that he was thankful that we were able to provide him with a higher platform to start from. Whereas like everybody, like I'm first generation, so we had nothing growing up, and we had to work for everything we had. And now he sees that, he's heard the stories, and all of our kids recognize the hardships that we as parents have had to provide them with the opportunity to go higher. And we're grateful that they didn't go backwards. I've seen a lot of kids in my career where they had a good foundation, but they screwed up along the way and they didn't have that drive and they went backwards. And, now their parents are still helping them out and these people are struggling. So we're grateful for that respect that, we raised them in a reasonable manner, and now they're recognizing that, and hopefully they'll be able to share that with their kids going forward.
Was there something that you did specifically to try and put that drive in them besides just sports, or was it all sports? Because there's people that play sports that don't have the drive.
Yeah, I think it
later,
was.
or was something
I
intentional
think
you
it
were trying
was.
to do?
I think it was more like leading by example, And the biggest thing for my wife and I are completely different. She's very pragmatic, very, very sharp, very critical, and I'm more laid back. What I contributed, I think, is the consistency of performing and preparing and keeping myself sharp all the time. I think the kids recognize that and they see that dad has been doing this. He's pretty consistent. He walks the walk and talks the talk. So I try to lead by example. And I didn't have that as a kid growing up because my dad would talk about his exploits as a kid in his youth, but he wasn't there as an adult, living in real time, showing how to do things. Whereas I kind of foster that with my children. It's I always try to set new goals, set new standards, push myself, get out of my comfort zone, always be that example for them. So that's sort of how I parent. And my wife is more of the reasonable thinking, black and white. And so we kind of complement each other. And I think the kids have a little bit of each of that. My younger one is extraordinarily competitive. I think she takes way more after me than my other two kids, which is kind of nice to see that your kid is super intense and really is setting goals and, and reaching, physical levels that are just crazy. As a parent, I'm very happy.
Looks like Mitch dropped off here. We'll give him a second to see he comes back on. There's Mitchell.
Sorry.
Mitch,
Welcome
I think
back.
for the
I'm on.
next one we do via Zoom, you're not allowed to be at home.
No, that's all right. I was gonna say, what's your daughter like to compete in?
Well, they all played soccer. So my two older kids went to Augustana and they played Division III soccer. My younger one played Division I at ISU. So she was a paid athlete, sort of like you were at Eastern. You guys were paid, that was your job. And, she was super competitive. Being the youngest kid, I always think that the youngest kids are always more competitive because they're trying to keep up with the older kids. And that was so true with my younger one, who was driven and super competitive. And she's still the same way. But yeah, I think it's the soccer for her was something she saw in my wife playing soccer and it being a family event, family experience, because all of my family played soccer as well, that they kind of latched onto that. And, it taught them life lessons. And when I coach soccer, I always try to explore the emotional side of soccer, where something in soccer is going to teach you about life. So you're always trying to apply what's learned in soccer into a life situation so they can better understand what you're trying to teach them. And hopefully, because many of these kids are not going to be professionals, at the very least, we try to make better people out of them so that they're better capable of functioning in society and being positive contributors.
So that's a mark of a good coach for sure. Because we had interviewed the Naperville head football coach too, Naperville Central. He had the same thought process. Not everyone's going to be a professional, not was being in college, but if we could teach better people, better leaders, better dads, better husbands, it all works out in the end.
Absolutely. Yeah. I definitely, I think that makes perfect sense as a coach to be able to, because you got to realize that you're a major impact in someone's life. Like for example, for me, I didn't have that positivity necessarily in my house. My father was not a nurturing person, nor did he ever want to be bothered coming to sporting events. And for me as a kid, the only thing I ever wanted was my parents to come watch me play sports. What really helped me in my life, because I grew up in basically poverty. So we had nothing really. We had just the clothes on our back and we would have to rely on our resourcefulness. But I think what really made a difference in my life was my coaches that I had. And what resonated with me is like all the teams that I played sports on that ended up winning championships were driven by very strong personalities of very, very intense individuals, but very positive at the same time. They would know how to drill you into the ground, but they would build you up with their words. So that little things like that resonated with me and stuck with me. So those are like my beacons going forward. So I try to provide that with my kids that I coach, try to provide that with my children that we're rearing. So I do think that coaches in life have a big responsibility other than trying to win championships. They're responsible for making citizens and and helping the next generation of people coming through. So hats off to coaches who do it for a living. And there are a lot of good ones, and there's a lot of not so good ones. But I was fortunate to have some of the good ones that really made a difference for me.
As we talk about being fit and the OCR stuff, if we've got a dad listening who is in their 40s or 50s or maybe even beyond, is obstacle course racing something for them?
Yes, it is.
What should they expect? What do they need to do in order to participate?
Well, I think it takes a lot of mental fortitude. Obviously you have to be able to run. You don't have to run though, because we see the beauty of this, Joe, is the way I corner people into doing the events is I will always invite someone to do the race, and then they'll tell me, "Oh, I could never do that. I'm not in shape. I can't do this." I'm like, "Well, we just had a few disabled veterans come to the race with missing limbs, and they did it. What's your problem? What's your real excuse?" So when you pose it like that to people, they have either they step up or shut up. So I would say just give it a try. You should embrace failure. And in a way, I kind of use it as a litmus test to determine where are my shortcomings. Am I not cardiovascularly fit enough? Do I not have enough upper body strength? Do I not have the mentality? These are great tests to see where you are. So I always tell people, well, use it as a gauge to see where you are in your fitness. And then maybe you'll like it and you have a positive experience because you'll finish the event and you'll be happy. And then you realize, oh man, I can work on this and improve. And generally that's what we get. We get people who get this experience and they're like, I'm coming back for the next one, but I'm going to do better next time because I know what to expect. I know how to prepare. And it gives them a training goal. I think the problem with anyone who you mentioned, like in their 40s and 50s, 60s, there's no goal. They're just going to go train for what? You have to have
Right.
you have to have a goal. You have to have a program that's specific to help you attain your goal, because with reaching goals, you experience success, and success breeds success. So start small, start with a small race, but give it a try. The biggest thing people don't like to do is fail. So when you propose something that can cause failure, people will shy away from it. But I stress for people to fail, embrace failure, because that's the only way you're going to succeed, and that's the only way you can really appreciate success is if you work your way up the ladder and you finally get to the top.
Someone wants to jump in on your next one. How do they find you? When is it?
It's if you go to our website at frontlineocr.com, you can register. It's May 23rd, 2026. It's always Memorial Day weekend.
Plenty of time to train for it at this point.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Find the F3 AO near you to start training.
Absolutely. I mean, and Mitch knows that when I do my workouts, I try to do circuit type training. So it sort of replicates what you will experience in an obstacle course race. Well, you do some running, you'll do a physical challenge, and you'll do some more running, and then you do more physical challenges. So that is the type of training that you need to do for obstacle course racing. It's just not just static running, but there's running involved with physical stuff, climbing, lifting, carrying. Those are the types of things that you'll experience on an obstacle course race.
Nice. All right, well, we want to stay on time here. So Mitch, unless you got some other burning question you want to ask, we're going to jump to the next segment here.
All good.
All good. All right. So we're going to do a little segment I like to call Joe's Judgments. And this has to do with the topic of volunteer fitness groups and liability. And I will say for the record, of course, a little disclaimer that this segment is for general information purposes. It is not legal advice. I am a lawyer, but I'm not your lawyer. Always consult with your own lawyer for your own specific situation. That being said, The question comes up quite a bit when people have these groups about concern about liability. There's lots of ways to address it. I frankly think that people are overly concerned frequently about these things. Generally speaking, when you're talking about a volunteer boot camp, run club, those kinds of things, a lot of them are run through park districts that are organized nonprofits. They get a certain level of insulation from legal liability. But let's just say that you put together a group and you're running it. The risk that you have involved, I'm not ever going to say there's not any, and somebody could sue for anything. People do it all the time. There are ways to mitigate that, of course. If you have an organized group that's regularly doing this, an insurance policy can be purchased for a relatively nominal sum. That is always useful. It will help if there is someone who gets sued in a group. But even when we don't have that, basic waivers of risk, pointing out that people participate at their own risk, is helpful. Inherently dangerous activities come with inherently dangerous risks. But when people don't understand that and appreciate it, that's when there tends to be more of an issue. I strongly recommend that people take the attitude of what it sounds like F3 does, and that's that you leave no man behind. And we encourage each other, we push each other, but you never push somebody else further than is reasonable for that person. Obviously, not everybody can do the same kinds of physical tasks. And if you're leading one of those groups, just be cognizant of what your group members are doing and what they're capable of. And it should be voluntary. It should never be something where they're compelled to do it. Encouraged and forced are two very different things. So
For sure.
that is,
before we do all this, we have our disclaimers, like I'm not a professional. I don't know your injuries. Push yourself, but don't hurt yourself, and modify as necessary.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Let's talk about some key points here from your interview here at Ed. Some of the things I wrote down in particular: don't sweat the small stuff, focus on the big things first. As a parent, lead by example. Stay sharp. As a dad, as you get older as well, passing on that competitive edge of sport to your kids is a life lesson, really, that will pay off for them huge down the road. And set goals for yourself on the fitness front as well. Some key points I picked up from you.
I think that's a pretty good summary. You actually made
my
me sound
favorite's
pretty
the
good.
don't drown in a glass of water.
No, that's right. Don't drown in a glass of water.
You
Joe
made
made me
yourself
sound
look
really good.
Yeah, well, is there anything else you want to add on, Ed, here before we wrap up and do our outro?
No, Joe, I think it's been a great experience meeting with you and Mitch, and this opportunity of just sharing my life with you.
All right. Well, we appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
That is a wrap for today's episodes of Dads, Deals, and Dumbbells. Huge thanks to you, Ed, for joining us here today.
Thank you.
And making us all want to sign up for an obstacle course, even if we'll regret the burpees and the pull-ups later on. Which
we won't do burpee. We don't do burpees. That's
fantastic.
Yeah, so don't worry about that.
And then make sure if you want to follow, share with a friend, share with someone that doesn't want to or can't keep talking about or can't shut up about listening to podcasts. Share us with them. If they want to be on the podcast, let us know. And then make sure you like, subscribe on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. You can shoot us an email too at dadsdealsanddumbbells.com. But until then, cut those kids in and join an obstacle course race.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Ed. Appreciate it.
Have a great day.